connect with like-minded AHK users in our private chat, helping each other out and sparking ideas that make scripting way more fun. Unlock weekly live sessions totaling 3 hours. Expert guidance, troubleshooting, and interactive learning to make AHK mastery a breeze. Okay. Do you want to talk about the creating custom controls, or did you say you're not quite ready?
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I can talk in the general sense. I'm trying to make an example that I could share.
Well, do you
When I
have?
started, yeah.
Actually, no, there's no toolbar in Toolkit, right?
No,
Do you have
no,
SciTE
no.
that you can show real quickly?
Let me see. Site. I think we do have it. I don't know. Where?
And I don't know
Huh?
how. I mean, I don't know if you can tell how they're creating theirs in SciTE for AutoHotkey. I can show my screen here.
Well,
I got it up.
okay.
So just FYI, this is is
Hold on. There you go. Now, yep.
and we know different way. Like Irfan and I were talking about it, and we're like, well, okay, we know how we could replicate this, but not necessarily the best way, right? But having a new open save, I don't think we need copy and paste, right? But
Never
even the
use copy
undo,
paste. Yeah.
yeah, undo, redo,
Search maybe.
some, in
The run button should be a button. It should
yeah,
not be like a.
and that was what I was mentioning earlier. Maestriath in Studio absolutely refused to, even though you could have toolbars, he implemented them, but he did not have them on by default, and you had to create your own. And I'm like, you should at least have a default one that people can turn on, and then it's there. But he absolutely hated the concept. So he never. But I'm like, yeah, he's funny.
It's so funny. We programmers are like that. Like so the point is, most programmers want to have full control of the thing, and they don't like it when somebody gives you kind of like a default. So what you want. So he thought, as I don't like it, then nobody would like it. And I'm like, no, that's not how people work. People actually work totally the opposite.
Yeah, especially when you're new, like when you just started, right? Anyway, so our goal is to create something that has a icons in it that we can easily.
Now, here's the deal. So toolbars are a very interesting concept, because if you kind of like look at it closely, it is just simply a group of buttons. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. They're buttons with icons on them. And actually, I don't know, we had a hero call in which I showed how you can add an icon to a button. I don't know if you remember.
I think we can do add image or add picture, and they can.
Of course, yeah, we can. That's basically what it is. And when you look at a toolbar, so what I was referring to. So let's go here. So let's go to the documentation. So we're gonna go to the GUI object, and not that I wanted the types of GUIs. Sorry, no, the add. So there is one of them. This is a very interesting control, okay? Because this control allows you to load controls into your GUI that are not the basic ones. One of the examples that they added here were two examples. They had the combo box extended version and the scintilla control. All right. So you can load any control. And Joe, this is what I meant. Like, I think I can just load the toolbar control here. Because what happens is, and I was just kind of like playing with AI to see what it came up with. I will show you what it came up with. So there are a few pieces of controls, MSDN control library for Win32. If you go here, there's a few sections, a few controls that in AutoHotkey we do not have direct access to. So we have buttons, we have combo boxes. We don't have the combo box EX, which is a combo box that provides native support for images. So if you want a combo box, which has an edit field and a drop down, and in the drop down, you want to have icons, then you need to use the combo box EX. And in AutoHotkey, to load that one, you can just do so by doing custom here and just loading it. And once you load it, then you just interact with it. And that's the key part. How do you interact with them? That's where it becomes a little tricky because, for example, to set the items on the combo box EX, you have to send a message. So you have to create an image list. I don't know if you have created image lists with list views, right? It's the same. You just create an image list. And then you have to send a message to this control, probably the handle, with the icon number and the image list, and it would just assign the icon to it. Is how it works. Very interestingly. But again, we do have a date time picker. We do have edit box. Have you ever used a scroll bar? Yeah, you can create your own scroll bar. You can create the scroll bar whatever you want, either horizontal or vertical. So if you have anything that you say, oh, I want to have a bunch of controls, and now I want the GUI to kind of like scroll down. Yeah, you can do so by adding a flat scroll bar wherever you want and then managing it. This one is a very interesting control, a header control. Well, a header control is the one that we have here at the top of a list view. So a list view is actually a combination of two controls. Is a list box, that's what it is at the bottom, plus, well, a special type of, the list view itself is just a list. And then on top of it, they have a header control. Those are two different controls kind of like merged into one. For us, it looks like one thing, but there are actually two of them. If you need something similar to this, in which you have a group of headers, right? You can do so. You just create a header control wherever you want. You're not limited. And again, what I was saying with that is, okay, but how do I do that in AutoHotkey? Well, there it is. That's what a header control is. And you can have it wherever you want. It doesn't have to be in a list view. But how do I do that? Well, in AutoHotkey, you say custom, and then you put the class here. You have to put the word class. And then right next to it, you have to put the class name of the header control, whatever that is. That's how it works. So yes, you can create IP controls, IP addresses. The example here does that. Class sys IP address. That is exactly this control right here. And following that logic, it tells you that if I need a pager, then I can do a pager. If I do a property sheet, I could do that. We can talk about that. That's kind of like tabs. Here, this is very important one, the rebar, and of course, the toolbar. So you can create any of these guys. Rebars are great with toolbars because you can have them move around. And a good example of that is here on Process Explorer, we have a toolbar that has some icons tied to a rebar that I can move around. And I can move this whole section of icons either to one side or the other by moving the rebar. So the rebar is sort of a container, right? And the rebar container can have things in it that then you can go ahead and move them around. So this rebar has an edit field right next. So it just has an edit field there. Now this other rebar has a graphic in it. You see, so you can put whatever you want in those containers. And as such, you can actually put a toolbar inside a rebar. So if you have access to these two controls, great, because you can actually do amazing stuff. So that's what I was saying, Joe. Like this is the way how I want to go is to use the custom control, load the toolbar, but here's the part that makes it a little bit complicated. Well, for a sys IP address, well, I just need to capture some messages when things changes or when we get a notification when a field change, right? So I could capture these guys and do stuff when they happen, right? But you always have to think, okay, so if I receive messages, that means that a lot of the things that I have to do with the toolbar, I have to send messages to it. All right. That's what's going to happen. And many, let me see. Yeah, I don't have any examples here of sending messages. Of course, it will be with the send message command. But here's the thing. When you look at the toolbar and you go down, you will see the messages that we either receive or send. So if you want to add an image to the button images, then you have to send this message to it. Does that make sense? That's the idea behind it. So I would have to first create a custom control, but then beside that, I have to have a manager class or a manager set of functions that allow me to easily manage the toolbar, because there is no easy way to do that. So you have to write the code yourself. So I want to add a button. Well, I have to send the add button. I have to add the bitmap. Okay. So you have to add the button, you have to add the bitmap, and then you have to show the thing. So you have to do many things at the same time. So, okay, good. I know the idea behind it, which is exactly the reason why our list views are so limited. If you look at another list view like this one, this is also a list view control, exactly like this one. The only thing is they're managing the colors. They're managing the colors. Okay, they're managing the colors. They can have grouping. You see that when you hover over something, it kind of like hides a section of some of the things. All of that, a list view can do that. AutoHotkey does not have functions for it. You have to write all the functions to manage all that. And that's why people don't like it, because it's a lot of work. I remember that in V1, somebody created a class for a list view manager that allows you to do a lot of stuff like create groups, drag and drop items inside the list view, and many other things like that, right? So they manually did that. Well, that's the thing. For a toolbar, you would have to do the same thing to the toolbar. So whenever you add one button, you have to add a string, you have to add the button, you have to add a bitmap, and you also have to auto size it. Because if you don't size it yourself, right, then the toolbar is going to have a very small size and you cannot see it, right? But then you have to kind of like resize it at the end. So there's a lot of actions just to do that. Just for fun, sorry, go ahead, Joe.
Well, I was going to say was, and I know you'll laugh at this, Isaias. You keep saying how it's a lot of work. Blah, blah, blah. Imagine doing it on your own entirely, though, right? Like, it'd be an insane.
And that's what we did. That's what we did. Nick was saying like, oh my God, I don't know how you learned all of this by yourself. Well, I had no other choice. When I started with AutoHotkey 15 years ago, there was no channel like this one or a group like this one in which we could talk, right? You could probably go to the forums, but again, AutoHotkey is not geared toward programmers. So nobody in there knew programming. So at any point in my script, when I said, oh, I want to add this hover, that when I hover over the link, the little hand shows up.
No.
Nobody could tell me. So I had to figure it out by myself. And while you're figuring out stuff, you learn a lot. Of course, it's very hard, but I think that's the reason why I still remember it, because it was very hard.
He recorded a video on it, which I watched about 300 times, so I could do it.
Because at that time, there was not enough information. And I still think there's not enough information. But going back to this, I said, okay, we are in the time of AI. Let's have AI generate something for me, right? And it did an amazing job. I am actually kind of like learning how to use AI a little bit more effectively. The last thing that I was doing, so kind of like a segue into how I'm using AI again. We have talked about this many times, but let me show you. This is the script it came up with. And let me just open up the class. This is the actual class. Sorry. So it did this in a few minutes, right? So it just created all the messages that I will that it will supposedly send to one or the others. Great use of the user plus X or Y, because that create all of these messages are just a combination of the user message, which is a very standard one, plus a number. That's what they are, right? So that's what they are. Easy. So good. What can I do with it? Well, I can create a new toolbar, can destroy it, and here's the send message. You have to send messages to it, right? So then you can show it. You can create the image list, add icon, and do other stuff. Most of those, it just calls this class and sends a message to it. So basically, for me, what it means is that in the end, so it generated the class for me, and I think it did a pretty good job at it. I will show you why in a second. And I told it to generate whatever it did, right? On the testing script, it went ahead and generated a GUI correctly with the main instead of another name. It generates a toolbar as an object. And now this is the interesting part. Now I add my styling, set the button size, set the padding, load the standard images, add my buttons, add a separator, another button, enable or disable, and then go ahead and show the GUI. Everything looks good. But again, this is not as easy. Even AI has problems with this thing. So one of the things that I noticed is the toolbar is not being shown. And if I remember right, and now that I was just looking at the code, there was some sort of TV show, I don't know. So maybe I should, before showing the GUI, try to show it, maybe. I'm also having a little bit of an issue with one of the callback functions. You will see the error popping up in here. Okay. So you will see the error popping up saying that I have some issues with some invalid callbacks. They're not incorrect. I don't know exactly what's going on, so I'm going to ignore them for now. But again, I get a GUI without the toolbar. So it goes to show just creating or generating a toolbar might not be as straightforward as one might want. I have the idea. I know how to do it. I was just looking at how AI would do it. And basically just to show you more or less how I'm using AI now. And Joe, by the way, this is actually basically what we discussed, and it is amazingly good at it. Actually, it has been generating 2.1 code almost flawlessly every time I do this. So I tell it, hey, I'm going to create a class in AutoHotkey 2.1 that allows me to create a toolbar and manage it, right? Your job is to think about the implementation plan, all right? And it will be used by an agent to generate code later. So basically, I separate the planning versus the coding. The planning, I do it with a thinking model, either Claude, 4 or 4.5, or ChatGPT 5, or any of the thinking models. Mm-hmm. And it just goes ahead and takes a long time, and it finishes up with a list of things that it would do. So it does this, and it goes ahead and this is the core architecture. This is what it's going to do for the constructor. This is going to be the image list management, and so on. So it already has a plan on how it would do it. Then after it finishes with the plan, I look at it first, mm-hmm. and then I say, yeah, that's good. And then I go ahead and switch the model to the Codex one. Actually, the Codex one has been giving me very good code. So I switch between Sonnet 4.5 in asking mode. So I just ask questions. And then once it's done, then I switch to agent here and switch to the Codex, and then just say, go ahead and implement. That's exactly what I said. Go ahead and build the class. It just goes ahead and does the things. And usually it fetches URLs that it needs to finish up whatever assumptions it has. It's part of what I told it to do. So I told it, if you have assumptions go ahead and search for the information online, whatever. So in the end, it thought for a long time, right? And it finished up, and then it even told me, hey, it has been working at this for a while. Do you want to continue? Yes, I want to. And then it tells me what the actions were, and I just look at it, and then just go for it and work with it slowly. And then I said, it has a big error. The variable name cannot be this or that. First, create a plan on how you will update it. It generated a plan. I look at the plan. Oh, so you're going to change this line to that. Okay, yeah, that looks good. That looks good. The plan is good. Then I switch to the coding model and say, okay, go ahead and implement the fix. With that, I haven't had like major issues. What I'm dealing with right now are subtleties and actually things that, to be fair, as everybody's saying, if you don't know about the topic that you're working with, it's going to be very hard to get AI to do the thing that you want. If you have an idea, at least I know where to look for and I know what to do to guide it, right? So that was it. That was basically the presentation that I could have for now, until I have some sort of working demo on that.
Very cool. Tap into over 466 plus hours of AHK video gold, including fresh clips like this, for anytime learning that fits your schedule. Get insider savings, 25% off courses, scripts, and done-for-you AHK jobs, making premium tools affordable and accessible.